Hello all you Xbox lovers, sorry about this video. This is me taking apart an Xbox and putting a PC in an Xbox. I've seen this done before and this is my take on it. And again, it's going to look like a fairly stock Xbox, but PC components. I'm using this to make an HTPC build, so home theater PC build. And there's the guts of the Xbox right there. Sorry about that. Alright, now I'll show you what I used to make it. And again, this is how I do keep my workspace, because it's important to keep the workspace clean. Dremel, hot glue gun, soldering iron. These things here, obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. Epoxy, blue magic metal polish, some black flat paint, and 1500 grit sandpaper. Why the sandpaper and the blue magic polish? And that's for the good old Xbox jewel, which you have to take off, or I took off to make it look nice and clear and pretty. You can see that's pretty darn clear. Now everybody says use Brasso and wipe it off, and it takes forever. Don't do it. It takes way too long. So I use a 1500 grit sandpaper to take that off. Wet sand it. It leaves it cloudy. So what you do is you take the metal polish to clean it up a bit. Skip a step. Don't just start off with the metal polish. That's crazy. It takes too long. Alright, other things that I needed were the multi-purpose screw kit standoffs for the motherboard and various screws around there. And I'll show you the components that I used. So, Zotac Fusion motherboard. It's E350 AMD APU. Low power, low heat, and pretty decent speed. Can do everything, HD, videos, etc. The FSP power supply and extra cables, 80 plus, 220 watt. It ended up being too short with the configuration I used, so I had to buy an extension, 6-inch extension, 40 millimeter, case fan. Takes laptop memory, so 204 pin Kingston, 2 GB by 2, so 4 GB total. Samsung Slim optical drive, so that's just to keep it a little bit more space in the case, to use a slim, not the full size. And with that you need special slim SATA cables, because that will not fit a regular SATA cable. 2.5 inch hard disk drive with 250 GB, and that's a Western Digital Scorpio Blue. And again, that's about just keeping it's reliable, and it's actually pretty cheap. Off of eBay, some blue LEDs. There's a green one in there, that's from the Xbox. Resistors, and again, that's about $3 from eBay, because blue is all the rage, so that's what I wanted to do. Alright, so now what do I have to cut? Well, one thing is I had to cut out the jewel, or pop off the jewel. How I did it was, it said use dental floss. I found the dental floss broke half the time, so I did have to heat it up a little bit, pull in some dental floss to loosen it up, and then I was able to slowly pry it up. Not that easy to get off, a lot harder. My cutout here is really poor. I used a bit and it's not very good, but I'll have to work with it. You have to make this cutout here in the back. This is the back, and I have to make it out a little bit bigger, so that it fits the motherboard components in there and things stick out properly. Okay, that's the only modification I did to the top. The bottom part, however, quite a bit. So there's a lot of standoffs here that you have to cut off, and little extra bits and pieces that you need to cut off, so that everything sits flat, or else the motherboard that you put in will not work that well. The other thing too is, how do you close the case? So in my case, what I did was I cut off, these are from the hard disk drive and the optical drive, and there's 4 of them in total, and this is what I'm going to use to close the case. So the long screws actually go through these sleeves, okay? They go through these sleeves and then attach the top to the bottom, and so that's how I'm going to close my case. The tin that sits in the base of I had to do a few things. Cut out for the PSU, and I left some screw attachments there, okay, in the corners. Cut out for the I/O shield for the motherboard, okay, and I kept that fairly clean. Ventilation cutout on the side, more ventilation, and this is a cutout for the fan, okay, so it's a better ventilation there. And one thing missing is the entire front of the tin, so I cut that off because that is more of a space saver. It gives you a lot more space inside the Xbox. Alright, here's the front. Modifications on the front. Well, the Xbox symbol is there, but on the wrong side, I know. So what happened is that the optical drive here has the Xbox symbol. You can't really reuse that. You can take it off of the optical drive, but you can't really put it on the slim drive because the slim drive has the eject button that's already attached to the front of it. So what I did was actually cut off the Xbox symbol and epoxy that to the front. It's not epoxied yet, so I'll show it to you. So what I do is cut that off of the Xbox, make it as symmetrical as possible, wet sand the sides, okay, so that it's nice and smooth and it looks like the original finish, and then score that up, and I'm going to epoxy that on now, okay? So that's to give the original Xbox look, but just a little asymmetrical. Alrighty, so I did a lot of research on this, looking at different types of switches that people did and how to make the on-off switch work. So what I did was I took that circuit board from the original Xbox, I cut off the ends, so here, and cut off the ends there, and that's where the LEDs were on. And what I did was cut them off and then put new LEDs. So actually it's hard to see here, but epoxied here are the two, one LED there, one LED there, the blue LEDs now. So I put them in parallel to the switch cable right there, the green and white, and the momentary switch. So I like the momentary switch that was there, okay, for the eject button there. So what I did was I desoldered the 2 points here, okay, and then resoldered them. So I resoldered the white and the blue wire on there. And it's important that you put, again, it doesn't matter which one, but I put the blue on the top and the white on the bottom on this momentary switch. You can't put them side by side up on the top, so two of the top can't be covered and two of the bottom can't be covered. It's going to be either top and bottom or top and diagonal across, and that's the only way it's going to work, the momentary switch. Same with the, you could have done the same thing with the bottom power switch, but I decided to use the bigger switch. Okay, and that's that. I'm just going to use the original hard drive red, but I could change that to blue later on. And so the hard drive and the disk and the optical drive need to sit on something, so I fashioned this. And this is what's going to hold my optical drive in place, and little feet I put on the bottom, L bracket to secure it in place against the side wall of the case, and also the hard drive. So what did I use? I used some metal from a Danish butter cookies tin. So I used that, cut some holes out to mount the hard drive on, and that's what I used. The tubing, what I used was actually from plumbing. This is supposed to go in the toilet, the tank. So I used that and cut that into the proper size and shape. It's easy because you can sand it down and get the right height of the tubing. Okay.